you know, either younger than us or, you know, passed and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford has reportedly accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight offer during a live interview with Stephen A. Smith. Crawford explained that for him, boxing is all about pushing limits and embracing every challenge, no matter how big. He stressed that the best should always face the best, and once again he's ready to step up. With calm confidence, Crawford made it clear, taking on Mayweather is another chance to prove himself and go beyond all expectations.
Businessman, because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy, you know.
Stephen A. Smith has never been shy about speaking his mind, and boxing is no exception. When he praises Terence Crawford for becoming a champion in 4 different weight divisions, it's far more than just a casual compliment. It's recognition of an achievement rarely seen in modern boxing. In today's era, where many fighters avoid moving across divisions because of the risks, Crawford's dominance at 4 different weights puts him in a league of his own. Stephen A. emphasizes that this kind of versatility and control cements Crawford as one of the all-time great pound-for-pound fighters. It's a testament not only to Crawford's physical adaptability, but also to his technical brilliance, mental toughness, and relentless drive to test himself against tougher and tougher competition.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab. He used his distance. He had poise in the ring. He wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept his different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
Roy Jones Jr., a legend who knows exactly what it takes to dominate across multiple divisions, has spoken highly of Terence Crawford's brilliance in the ring. He highlighted how, in Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez, he showcased the ability to draw from the arsenals of Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, 2 fighters who had previously given Canelo major problems. According to Jones, Crawford's gift lies in his ability to observe, study, and then apply effective strategies with precision. This proves he's not just a gifted fighter, but also a sharp student of the sport. What impressed Jones most was that Crawford didn't simply copy those techniques. He adapted them into his own rhythm, making them even more effective in real time. That kind of adaptability sets him apart from so many fighters who stick to one style and falter against elite competition.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
Yeah. And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Terence Crawford stepping into the ring with Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has set off heated debate. Critics argue that a fight like this could hurt Crawford's legacy. Instead of building on his historic wins, like dismantling Errol Spence and outclassing Canelo Alvarez, they believe it would look like he's chasing financial gain over competitive greatness. This criticism comes from the fact that Mayweather's recent career has revolved around lucrative exhibition bouts rather than legacy-defining fights. Analysts warn that Crawford has worked too hard to risk being seen as a fighter prioritizing money over history. But there's another perspective. Many believe Crawford's legacy is already cemented, and if he chooses to face Mayweather, it wouldn't tarnish his career. It would simply add another fascinating chapter to an already remarkable story.
For Terence Crawford, it's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
When fans compare the careers of Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, the conversation quickly gets complicated. Floyd's resume features victories over some of the biggest names in boxing history, but critics often point to the timing of those wins. Canelo was still young and inexperienced when he faced Mayweather, and Pacquiao entered their long-awaited 2015 clash carrying an injury. On top of that, Floyd's reluctance to grant rematches, especially with Pacquiao, left lingering doubts for many fans. Crawford, on the other hand, has built his dominance by beating opponents who were considered at or near their peak when they stepped in against him. That contrast fuels endless debate. Was Mayweather's spotless record purely a product of unmatched skill, or also the result of carefully calculated timing and matchmaking?
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation. But when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say the accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. It's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud, in my opinion.
Tony Jeff, a respected boxing analyst, points out that Floyd Mayweather's greatest weapon wasn't just his defense or speed. It was his mindset. According to Jeff, Floyd's unshakable belief that he could beat anyone made him truly dangerous. Even in fights where the margins looked razor thin, Mayweather's supreme boxing IQ and confidence always gave him the edge. His ability to read opponents, adapt in seconds, and remain calm under pressure set him apart from fighters who relied only on physical gifts. Jeff emphasizes that the psychological edge, combined with technical precision, made Floyd look almost untouchable, and it's the reason he walked away with an unblemished record.
strong mindset. They're really confident. They really believe in themselves. But you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work harder. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of shit.
The boxing world is always craving exciting matchups. And one of the hottest debates right now is the possibility of Terence Crawford taking on David Benavidez. Benavidez brings size, power, and relentless aggression, qualities that would test Crawford in ways no opponent has before. Fans view this as a kind of high-risk fight that could push Crawford beyond his limits. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the speculation highlights what boxing fans truly want: legacy-defining battles, not exhibitions built only for financial gain. Crawford versus Benavidez will be the ultimate clash of skill versus size, precision versus aggression. Exactly the type of dream fight that captures the imagination of the boxing world.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford, and that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
The debate over Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford has no definitive answer. Both men fought the best of their eras, and both emerged dominant. Floyd's flawless record and defensive brilliance made him untouchable in his generation, while Crawford's ability to climb through weight classes and still dominate is just as remarkable. The challenge in comparing them lies in the different eras and circumstances they fought in. For that reason, declaring one as greater than the other may never be possible. But what is undeniable is that together, Mayweather and Crawford embody the highest standard of boxing greatness.
Oh my goodness. I said that was going to happen. If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is going to be better. Now, this is going to be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. And I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more boxing talk.
Greg Hackett's take on Crawford's win over Canelo perfectly captures its symbolic weight. By calling Canelo the best in boxing, Hackett reminds us how dominant and feared Canelo had been for more than a decade. For Crawford to not only face him but take control and dismantle him signaled a dramatic power shift. In Hackett's eyes, Crawford is now the new predator in the waters, the fighter others fear, the one perched at the very top of the sport. This wasn't just another victory on Crawford's resume. It reshaped the entire boxing landscape, marking him as the man who dethroned the shark and became the hunter himself.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, it is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chillin'.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money, man. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money, bro. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez was a defining moment of his career, erasing any lingering doubts about his greatness. His dominant win over Errol Spence had already silenced critics who questioned the level of his opposition, as Crawford showcased complete control from the opening bell to the final punch. But dismantling Canelo, a fighter long seen as nearly untouchable, took things to another level. That performance didn't just add to his resume, it cemented his legacy. Analysts now agree Crawford's back-to-back victories have ended the debate. He belongs among the greatest fighters of all time. His ability to outclass champions across multiple divisions is proof of dominance beyond dispute.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing, like they're this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. Well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you next time.